Good evening. Big news from the Fulton County Courthouse today as Sergio Kitchens, they're known as Gunna, pleaded guilty to one count of the YSL indictment that's charged, among others, Young Thug and Gunna with violations of Georgia's gang laws, Georgia's RICO statutes, and those kind of things. Today, kind of a surprise that Gunna entered a guilty plea and was released from prison or from jail, and is not going to prison by all accounts. A lot of talk online on Twitter, YouTube, those kind of things about whether or not that means that he snitched on somebody. What do we know? What do we not know? There's no indication at this time that he gave any statements per se or was interviewed, but we do know WSB TV's got footage from inside the courtroom. We do know that he Gunna being he, at least admitted that he was in a car with Jeffrey Williams, Young Thug, when or at least a gun and drugs were found in the car. And Gunna says that those were not his. Now, I don't know who else was in the car or anything like that. Obviously, he did not implicate anyone directly, just says that they are not his. Notably, Gunna did not plead to a violation of the gang statute here in Georgia, only to a violation of the RICO statute. He was released and does not have to go back to jail. He does have about 500 hours of community service. One other thing is that he entered in what's called an offered plea, right? An offered plea is a plea where you say, Judge, I am pleading guilty because I think it is the best thing for me to do, not necessarily because I am guilty. So if someone's facing 100 years at trial, but the prosecutor makes them a sweet offer, right? Something where they get out of jail like Gunna did today. The defendant has the ability to say, Judge, I didn't do this, but I'm not willing to risk 100 years of my life or 20 years of my life in front of 12 jurors who I don't know. Instead, it's in my best interest to enter this plea and to close this case. And that is the kind of plea that Gunna entered today. Now, Gunna released a statement saying that he, didn't give any interviews, doesn't plan on cooperating or participating in the YSL trial set to begin next week. But condition is that he did agree to testify truthfully if called by either the prosecution or the defense at the trial. One thing that I've always pointed out to people who are facing these conditions is that ultimately kind of the prosecutor and the court are the arbiters of of whether or not a testimony at trial is truthful or not. So that is a dangerous game to play if the prosecutors don't like what he's saying or don't believe him, or if the judge doesn't. So, again, kind of the recap is Gunna is released from Fulton County Jail after about 7 months, not going to prison. He's got to do a shit ton of community service, most of which has got to be talking with kids about gangs. He did admit to being in a car with Young Thug where guns and drugs were found, but he says that they were not his. He did not identify whose they were. He entered what we call a best interest plea and was released. We're going to do our best to keep up with this trial when it begins next year and kind of follow along with what's going on with that case.